Is that when you felt like a Spartan, or when were you Spartanized, if it's happened yet?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's always when you're, competing against people, there's certain mascots that are just that mascot, and Sparty's that mascot, just tough, big, physical. Yeah, that was pretty neat. My boys were pretty fired up. They're like, "There's Sparty." I'm like, "You guys are in high school and college. Relax." So it was really great.
Did your wife buy you the green tie, or did you own one?
I did own one, but this was a gift from the university, so
Okay.
I had to make sure
Just
I wore it.
curious.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about how much did you talk with Mark D'Antonio? Because I know you were close with him and you came through the ranks, like you said. But how much did you talk with him about what this place is and can be?
Well, we talked frequently over our years just about the differences in our schools and, the opportunities that he had, I had. So those were just conversations coach to coach. And then this happened quite quickly. So I wanted to reach out to him. I wanted to visit with him. And he was on his way down to the college football playoff selection group. I think he called me later on that night, and he just said it's a special place with special people. And you're going to absolutely love it, and that he and Becky were here to help Stacy and I with whatever we needed. So not a surprise.
Continue with that. I mean, having Mark on the playoff committee and having Jay on the transition committee to all that, does that, as a football coach, does having that leadership in position of national prominence help?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you go back, I was the president of the American Football Coaches Association after being the liaison from the Big Ten for a number of years, taking over after Coach Tressel retired. So that was a great honor for me. And absolutely, I think being a part of not only those committees, but being able to shape potentially some change, and then being on the front end of when change may happen or what's being discussed that doesn't happen, can also be a way that you could find some semblance of a little bit of an advantage.
What are the conversations you're having with recruits now that it's not your class, like in terms of like making it your class and evaluating those kids and making them feel like this is where they still want to be?
Well, I went through with the tape I had available when this thing started to progress, and it wasn't great on the internet. Meaning, I think I had like junior and senior highlights, which I would, if this was a normal case, I don't offer on the appetizer. All right, I want to have the steak and as you guys can see, I'm a sweater, so I'm an eater. So I mean, I want to see it all, but that's just not the case. And the staff did a really good job. I got on the phone with multiple staff members here, and we just started talking through each player. We went over an extensive Zoom about each guy. And I'm working through that process. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not making an excuse that I've been too busy. I've just been kind of I don't know if I've stopped yet since I've landed. So going to keep trying to reach out to a few guys. We're going to try to add some pieces, and then, see how this room, changes after, the portal opens. And that's just the reality of college football. And if young men decide that this is the right fit for them, then we're going to evaluate them like I would to make sure that that's going to happen, and we'll add those pieces. And if some young men decide that, maybe moving on is their best decision, I would support them wholeheartedly, without a doubt.
Pat, I was wondering, it must have been difficult to be away from coaching for a few seasons, even though you got your high school, coaching in. But
I'm going to say something about that, not to be rude, but go ahead, finish your question.
I guess the process of the settlement had to be the process, the time it took. Do you think if it had been over earlier, you would have already had another job in this business, in the college level?
I sure hope so. Yeah, I sure hope that would have been the case. I mean, based on the interest this offseason, really it started this summer when things were kind of moving towards a finalization. Then it did happen. It was obvious that there was quite a bit of interest in talking with me, and, that process started then and then, kind of evolved over time. I think I'm a pretty loyal guy. And it as a coach, it pained me to have conversations with some people, headhunters and things of that nature, like in the summer and early season where, well, this may happen, that may happen. I'm like, I just feel like that guy right now. And I've never been that guy, but that's part of our business. It's an amazing and rewarding profession to impact and develop young people. But man, sometimes it's one of those businesses that we all have, that you guys all have. And, it is what it is. But yes, I think there would have been an opportunity for me based on what happened this offseason.
How hard was it to be sidelined, Pat? How hard was it not to have a team to coach?
Jack, I'd ask Bo Deschro at Loyola Academy how much I coached. I was very fortunate to have that opportunity to go to Loyola Academy when everything happened. And Father Greg and Tim Devine, the principal, and Genevieve Atwood and Bo Deschro, the head coach. Genevieve's the athletic director. were unbelievable. The players were unbelievable. I mean, if you're going to go on a sabbatical and you get the opportunity to be with two of your boys, well, they go through back-to-back state championships. One is a quarterback, goes 25-1, and you know, all those kids, it was awesome. And I became a much better teacher. Okay, that's why I didn't want to be rude to you. Like, I would, the best coaches that I've been around are some of the best are high school coaches. They have to do everything. They got to, I mean, everything. We have an equipment staff, a video staff. They have to do everything. I mean, I was setting up headphones. It was awesome. It took me back to my roots of being a GA. You know, I wasn't pouring Ron Vanderlyn in coffee, but I was, you know, I was buying coffee for the staff. So it was absolutely awesome. And that group that I had on that scout team for the last couple of years, Jack, trust me, I was coaching those guys, and we had an absolute blast.
You said in that.
What was
talk
it
about
like the
recruiting, but
last
putting
3
together-
years on Saturday afternoons, watching Big Ten games, and are we gonna see Sparty in a neck roll?
Hard initially, really hard initially. You know, again, you guys have covered me for a while. I love and adore my players, and I love and adore their families. And to get that ripped away from me was that knocked me down. That rocked me to the core. And it's like any time, like, you know, I cut my hand the other day, and now it's kind of, you know, healing, and eventually there'll probably be a little bit of a scar. You know, that process of grieving for us as a family, I wouldn't have been able to do it without Stacy, you know, Jack, Ryan, and Brendan, my entire family, my sisters. Unfortunately, we lost my dad throughout the process. That if you covered me, you saw that he was on our sideline, you know, typically. So there was a lot, you know, but what it taught me is perseverance. And I told the guys this morning, you know, you're going to hear me say this a lot. Life's 10% what happens to you, 90% what you do about it. I didn't make that phrase up, but I think I'm a great description and embody exactly what that's all about because of our family. And so, you know, as I look forward to, as we move forward with our guys, we're going to face adversity. That's a given. And I think I'll be able to give a perspective that nobody else in the country from a head coaching perspective can give the student athletes.
Pat, you
In
said
terms
it,
of putting together a staff and coaching staff, I know you mentioned your 3 hours just landed. How soon do you anticipate that to happen, and who are the sorts of guys you prioritize when building a staff?
Yeah, I'd like to have it done yesterday, but that's not the case. So it's going to be done when it's done. It's kind of like turkey, you know, on Thanksgiving. When it's done, it's done. And if it's done right, it's great. So let's get it done right. Again, if this was a different timetable 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we had to kind of keep a lot of things kind of moving, I think I probably would have walked in and said, here's bang, bang, bang. But I with the timing and signing date, I don't think a 40-second play clock decision is right. And frankly, I've got my team working the phones for me, and I'm trying to get recruits and trying to get people like, hey, I'm going to get to you. Give me a couple days. Give me a couple days. It's important to get the right people. And then when you get the right people, then we get together and we start to build that chemistry and camaraderie as a staff. You know, I had a long time where I didn't lose anybody, and I had multiple times when I lost some great coaches. And my approach always when that happens isn't upset or mad when somebody leaves. You know, I always told my staff, it's an opportunity for us to get better. So let's figure out what that means. Again, not anything negative towards the person that left. And so that'll be the way that I'll always approach
Would
it.
you prefer to have that done by the coaches' meetings next month? Or is that a spot where you would be able to maybe find some of those right fits?
I think both. I think in an ideal world, I'd like to have it done yet, like I said yesterday. But I want to get it done. I want to get it done right. So
The sabbatical you talked about, I'm wondering anything specifically that you learned that maybe you think this is a lesson. I saw the podcast you did. You talked about more than 40 transfers, for example. That doesn't work
Yeah.
necessarily. Like things you took away from this.
yeah, you know, the numbers say it doesn't work. That might not be my choice here to start off with. So then you got to double down on the right people, right? You got to double down, and you don't want to ever have to paint yourself in a corner with the roster. But you also have to be nimble and flexible enough to take the right number of guys by each position to make sure you've got the competitive depth. I mean, this is a gauntlet now. I mean, Big Ten football has always been the toughest and best conference in America. Now adding the teams that we've added, it's just absolutely, you know, week in and week out, a complete and total slobber knocker. So it's one of those where I can't wait to get back and compete. Most of the league head coaches have texted me, which has been nice. I think they'll see the smile on my face when I walk into our head coaches meeting, you know. I'm back, you know, like it'll be, I don't know, there'll be probably all kinds of memes or something, I don't know. But yeah, going back, I think you asked me another question. Will we wear neck rolls? I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. It's not cool anymore.
Can you get one for Sparty? Would that be?
Well, that's a good idea for the marketing department. We'll see what happens.
I'm struck by the comment you made in an ESPN interview recently, when you said, for people who are offended by my passion, I'm not sorry and I am sorry. How important, I guess the basketball coach here would have liked that, how important is passion to you, not only in yourself,
Yeah.
but in your players?
Yeah, I think my line is pardon my passion.
There it is.
Yeah, and, I think that's the way you have to attack the day. I had the privilege to work with Randy Walker, and Coach, that's the way he attacked every single day. You ask Coach how he was doing, I'm doing great. And we may have just got beat by 25. Because he always found the positive in something that we could do, but we are going to relentlessly attack what we need to improve on. But we're going to do it with an unbelievable attitude. And I told the team this morning, people do things for those they know and like. If they know you and they like you, they're going to help you. You want to get better grades in class, get to know your professors. You want to get a relationship, well, you know what, smile a little bit, get your hair cut, have a little game, actually be a genuine person and be respectful, right? Those are things I'm going to start talking to the guys about as we go over time. But attitude to me is everything. It's a daily, second-by-second choice. And then when it comes to the passion, that's what I want our fans to know. When you're going to watch the Spartans play in Spartan Stadium and throughout Big Ten football or wherever we get the privilege to go, you're going to see a product on the field that's going to play fast, tough, physical, and with controlled aggression and emotion and passion for each other and for the game. And it's going to take a lot of work. That's not going to be an overnight switch. But it's definitely going to be some of the things that we're going to reinforce.
You've spoken enough where you can read a room. How did you read the room when you talked to the team today, if you could?
I don't know how they read me, meaning I think they got a little slice of me, and it was great. I mean, I expected to walk out and just go to my next meeting, and as I was walking out of the team room here for the first time, the guys cornered me and all started grabbing me, and I wanted to make sure that they knew how I felt about Coach Smith. And, not only because of my selfishly because of my friendship, but because I can only imagine how they felt, how my guys felt when I got taken away from my guys, how, they felt when they lost their coach. And that's just part of this process now. But I genuinely wanted them to know that. And it's the same thing I said to the staff. I've only been with the staff for 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes today. That will increase exponentially as we move forward. And then, we got to talk to everybody and work through that process. But I just want them to know that I genuinely care and I understand what they're going through. And, as I build relationships, we'll see what I can do for people.
We know facts about you. We've talked to Tom enough to know his regard for you. What did he tell you about Michigan State?
Well, Tom Izzo is Michigan State, first and foremost. I mean, we're all a part of it, the students and everybody. But when you're a coach and you think of Michigan State, you think of Tom Izzo, and he just loves it. He loves the people. He loves the community. He loves the school. He loves the faculty. He loves the other coaches. Jay brought me into a head coaches meeting today, and I walked in and I was like, "Yeah, all right, here we go." This just brought me back, and they were all those coaches were texting me. I think it's now over 2,000 texts from different people, and most of them were from not most, but a lot of them were from my former players, and that was so heartwarming to see, and my teammates. Families, parents of the guys I coached. It warms your heart, after what we've been through as a family to get the outpouring of support. Now listen, we haven't done anything, and so I understand what the fan base wants. They want a tough physical team that represents this university the right way with great integrity and wins football games and makes everybody proud. And, obviously we know who our rival is, and our guys will know who our rival is every single day, but our focus will be on us. We've got to get better. We've got to improve. We've got to get stronger. And then everything else, I'll be able to talk to you specifically once I start working here.
Are you talking at halftime tonight?
I don't know if it's halftime, but I think at some point in the game I am.
Are you gonna have a GM?
We're going to work through all that stuff, yeah.
Could you reflect on just, taking this job compared to the job when you took 20 years ago amidst tragedy with your coach, and just what are the differences when you took the job then and when you take the job now?
Yeah, Stacy and I were kind of reflecting on that a little bit. Yes, I think it was last night. I like pepperoni pizza. That was really hard. Coach was an unbelievable mentor and friend. But back then, our focus was on the Walker family and trying to get Tammy and Jamie and Abby and the entire, coaches, brother, everybody through that tragedy. And then the guys. I mean, it's they're not comparable, to be quite honest. And it's probably too soon for me to really have an opinion on that, but that was just, going through a tragedy like that. I don't know if I can describe in words just how hard that was.
Coach, we have one more right here. One more.
Obviously, there have been some struggles here in the past that you know coming in. What convinced you that it would be aligned properly for you, aligned from the top to the bottom, when it hasn't quite been that way recently?
Well, I think that was a big part of the reason why, when we started having our conversations, I got really excited to see the alignment, by President Guskowitz and his vision on where he wants the athletics department to be. Jay articulated, to be a top 10 athletics department driven with success in football, discussing, different areas within supporting the players and supporting the program. That was my focus. And as I looked around the landscape and we see some I would call them, I guess, non-traditional powers that are playing for conference championships or maybe in the playoff conversation, you better believe Michigan State should be in that conversation. And that's my job, and that's why I'm here, and that's the staff that I'm going to bring. But we're going to need everybody. The question was about the student body earlier. I'm going to get a glimpse of it in the IZone tonight, right? Did I say that right? Is that right? Let me win some games, and maybe we can come up with something creative in Spartan Stadium, for whatever it is. The heartbeat of the fan base every year is always going to be the students, and then obviously our alums and everybody that's in the building. But I just can't wait to meet them. I can't wait to celebrate Big Ten athletics with them, because Stacy and I, once everything gets settled with us, we're going to be at softball games and everything. Basketball, we'll be at everything that we get to go to. And I heard there's a hockey game on Friday. I'm a huge hockey fan.
It's only against Michigan.
Yeah, 1 against 3.
Yeah, let's go, right? Let's go. So I'm fired up to be there and be a part of that. So just looking forward to working with everybody. Some of you have covered me for a long time, and I appreciate always our time together. It's great to be back with you, and I'll just do my best to do everything I can to give you the answers to the questions that you have. But I've always had this, and I just want to end with it. I've always worked hard to protect my players. Not hide things from you, but to protect my players so they can grow and learn and develop as men. And sometimes, I'm going to have to do that. And I just say that from a transparency standpoint because I was a knucklehead at 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 years old. And we didn't have cell phones back then. So, and I just mean that from the growing pains that happens for students at that age. And I'm going to work really hard to be, right here every step of the way because we need you too. We need everybody in the state of Michigan supporting the green and white and supporting Spartan football. And I know how important your roles are in doing that, and I know how hard and challenging your roles are. And I look forward to being a great partner with you, and I thank you for covering this today and for covering the program in Spartan Athletics. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, that game you were talking about.